No one can truly love us more than God. I was reading this book yesterday titled Sometimes God Has a Kid's Face by Sister Mary Rose, and a few things came to mind. Our love is selfish, and we are selfish beings. As humans, we often have opinions towards different people that causes us to discriminate against them, whether we know it or not. We treat other people from the ways that we think is best, that they are treated by us. And everything we do is rooted in ourselves and not God, for most of us. And we cannot ignore that fact because it is in our human nature. Although it is not technically impossible to do something that's not rooted in us, it is a more difficult path to endure. Another thought comes to mind. When we think of love, we often think of a relationship, a transaction for some. But we have to understand that love itself is separate from a relationship. Love is unconditional. When we love, we must learn to separate ourselves from it. Now, a few examples that I wanted to share. If you love someone, you would let them walk away. If knowing that letting them be around you or staying in that relationship will only bring both of you misery or lead the both of you into further sin. Only you can know that, so I won't be the person to elaborate on this. And you will learn to pray to God to bless them and walk with them in every step of their journey, even if their journey isn't with you. Because sometimes loving means to walk away from the person that you love if being together turns into something negative. Number 2, praying for your enemies and for the people who have hurt you while letting go of any resentment and violence that you harbor for them. That is love, even if it's towards the worst person in the world or the person that hurt you most in this world. Because if Jesus could forgive us for forsaking him, then we should be able to imitate him and walk in his ways. Notice how I said imitate. I said imitate because none of us can compare to God's love. The reasons why I say this is that in this world we often have to prove ourselves that we are worthy of love. It is difficult to love unconditionally as humans because oftentimes we judge too quickly and treat someone the way we understand them. But God knows everything from the beginning already. He knows every single one of us in this world, and He loves us all despite knowing all of our flaws, and He will lift us up from our burdens if we ask Him sincerely, because nothing is ever too late or too impossible for Him. That is unless it is time for your judgment. The world makes us feel loved for a short while, but it is temporary and fleeting like mortal life before it reveals its true colors. Now, similarly, the devil knows what we want. Therefore, he will work his ways to tempt us with our desire. Like point number 2, it is an illusion to feed us, leading to a never-ending spiral of desire and guilt and regret unless we seek God. God doesn't forget, but He offers a new path even if you've taken the wrong one because you did something wrong. A new door is always there and it will always be there. You can't go back before you sin, but you can go forward by moving in God. Now, similarly to an invitation, I will give you one last example. Imagine a person hands you an invitation to their house, and you thought about it for a moment because number 1, the house is far away, and number 2, it is hard to get there. Imagine all sorts of pathway like rocky roads and steep mountains. Maybe you will pass through bad weather or conditions and stuff like that. But then when you think about it, if you go there, you will have a reward waiting for you. That is, if you go there willingly. And by not going, you won't get a reward. Now, you don't know what type of reward this will be, but you just know that it is going to be a reward because the person who invited you promised to give you a reward if you do go to their house. Now, just like God invites us all to his kingdom. It is your choice to accept his invitation or not, because God will not lose anything. Only you will, just like the reward. Okay? And I leave you again with this thought that it is your choice to accept God's invitation. Now, let's say I accepted the invitation to this person's house, but along the way I complain and complain and complain, and when I get there will be no reward at all, because that won't be willingly. I did not go there willingly. I went there because I thought of the reward, but I didn't go there willingly. I wasn't patient. I wasn't willing to endure whatever it is that I endured along the way. And you can't really blame the person for that, because he told you beforehand that things would be very difficult before you get to his house. And because of that, he told you to try again someday, willingly, before he gives you the reward. And that just reminds me of God's invitation for us. I know that this isn't exactly a very accurate representation of God and his kingdom, but it is the best that I can think about at the moment. So I leave you with this thought. He knows all of our deepest secrets. He knows all our deepest desires, even the ones we don't like about ourselves, and yet he loves us and invites us all to his kingdom, and it is our choice whether we accept his invitation willingly or not. Remember, to accept God's invitation and to truly understand his love for you, then you must be willing to endure all sorts of difficulties and things that may be uncomfortable to you, because everything we have in this world is easier, but when we think about God's love for us, it is difficult because it is lasting, and everything else like in this world is just for a fleeting moment. Therefore, it will never really last, and God's love will always be greater. Thank you for listening to whatever I talked about today, and I will see you next time.